Hello, second grade, Miss Crawl. I hope you all are doing well, and it is great to always see you guys. So today we're going to be working on adjectives in this video. So I want you to think, what is an adjective? You may have heard it, you've probably practiced with it. So I want you to think, what is an adjective? So an adjective describes a person, place, or thing. So it describes that noun, right? And an adjective can tell us how many or what kind. So let me go ahead and pull up an example of what I am talking about. So I have two sentences here. My first sentence says, it is a yellow flower. So what kind of flower is it? Well, it is yellow. So yellow is an adjective because it tells what kind of flower, right? A yellow flower. My next sentence says, did you see that tall tree? Well, what kind of tree is it? It is tall. So tall is an adjective because it describes the tree. So an adjective is going to tell us more and describe person, place, or thing. And it can tell us how many or what kind. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of practice with this. So the directions at the top say, read each sentence, highlight the adjectives that tell what kind, underline the adjectives that tell how many. So we have to really watch this because we have to highlight the ones that tell what kind and underline the adjectives that tell how many. So let's just focus on this first sentence first. I want you to follow along as I read it. It says, I want to plant some red tulips. So what kind of tulips are there? They are red. So that tells what kind. So red we're going to highlight. How many tulips? Well, we are going to plant some. So some tells us how many. So we need to underline that. So some red describe the tulips. Helps us tell how many and what kind. The next sentence, we planted many yellow roses. What kind of roses? They are yellow, so let's highlight that. And how many? Well, we're planting many. So again, many yellow describes roses, that person, place, or thing. How many? Many. And what kind? Yellow. Next one, Mary has a pretty garden. Well, what kind of garden does Mary have? She has a pretty garden. So pretty describes the garden. We don't have anywhere about how many or anything like that. Our last one, she has 3 kinds of roses in it. Well, what describes the roses? Well, what's describing in this sentence is the amount or how many. She has 3 kinds of roses. So that tells us how many. That describes how many roses.
Excellent work.
So I want you to follow. I'm going to do the same thing for this one. Let's do this first one together, and then I'm going to start challenge you guys to try these next ones. So the first one, she uses special food for her plants. Well, what kind of food does she use? She uses special food. The word special tells what kind of food. We don't have anything in here that tells how many. The next sentence, I want you to follow along as I read it. The food comes in 2 boxes. So I want you to think, is there anything in here that describes the food? What kind or how many? Go ahead and shout it out. What kind or how many? Yeah, how many? The food comes in how many boxes? It comes in 2 boxes. So we're going to go ahead and underline that. Our next sentence, Mary mixes the food in a little pail. What kind of pail is it? Let me hear it. It's a little. Yeah. Does that tell us how many or what kind? Go ahead and yell that out. Yeah, that's going to tell us what kind. So we're going to highlight that. It's a little pail. Our last sentence on this one, she pours the food on the dark soil. What kind of soil is it? It is dark. Does that tell us what kind or how many? Go ahead and shout it out. Yeah, it describes what kind of soil. It doesn't tell us how many. So we're going to highlight it.
Fantastic.
All right, this top one. The food makes the plants tall. What are the plants? They are, let me hear it. Tall, yeah. Does tall tell us how many or what kind? Let me hear it. Shout it out. Yeah, it tells us what kind. So we're going to highlight it. Next one. It helps to make big flowers too. What kind of flowers? Shout out the adjective. What is it? Big, right. Now, does big tell us how many or what kind? It tells us what kind. Good. All right, this next one. The red flowers bloomed yesterday. The red flowers bloomed yesterday. I want you to go ahead. What's our adjective here? I want you to think this one through. What are the flowers? I'll give you a hint. So the adjective here is red, right? The red flowers. Now, does red describe what kind or how many? Let me hear it. Yell it out. It should be what kind. So that's going to be highlighted. Our last one. There were 3 purple buds opening this morning. So what words are describing buds? I want you to go ahead. I want you to take your finger and don't actually touch your screen, but get close and point. What is describing buds? Go ahead and point. So you should have pointed to purple. Now, does purple describe how many buds or what kind? Yell that out. Yeah, it describes what kind. So we're going to highlight that. Now, you also should have pointed to 3 because that's also describing the buds. Now, does 3 tell us how many or what kind? Go ahead and yell it out. It tells us how many, right? So we're going to underline it. So 3 purple describes the buds.
Excellent work.
That was great, second grade. So quick review. We talked about adjectives, and they describe person, place, or thing. They can tell us how many or what kind. So when we're trying to find adjectives in a sentence, we can just ask ourselves, what's describing that? So if we go back to our previous example, we had, it is a yellow flower. What kind of flower? Yellow. So we know that yellow is our adjective there. All right, second grade, I will see you next time. Great job.